All right, whenever you're ready.
All right. Welcome. I'm Tim Scoggins, Chair of the Shaftsbury Select Board, and I am calling to order our regular meeting for Monday, May 19th, 2014. We just heard a very interesting proposal from Integrated Solar. We'll probably be hearing more about that in the future. First item on our agenda is announcements. Does anyone have any announcements?
Memorial Day Parade.
Go ahead.
Memorial Day Parade. Is it at 9 o'clock here?
Bennington?
No,
Or
Shaftsbury.
Shaftsbury? I'm not sure.
Jim Meskin is taking care of that. I
Yeah.
think it's usually 9
I
o'clock.
think it's 9 o'clock. Starts here, Cleveland Avenue, up Route 7 and back to Cole Hall.
All right.
That's on
Memorial Day
Monday?
Parade, 9 o'clock.
Monday.
Monday night, okay.
Very good.
Be here.
Do we have any public comments? Mr. Public.
Yeah, I have a question. Last week I missed the Tuesday night select board meeting, special meeting on the, the adoption, but at least the process of the adoption of the town plan. I hope so. Is there another meeting regarding the town plan in the future?
Yes. Yes, the next meeting is scheduled for
June 10th.
June 10th, the next regularly scheduled Planning Commission meeting.
So that'll be on a Tuesday as well?
That'll be on a Tuesday as well.
Okay, I think that was confusing. Okay, so it's a select board meeting, but on a Tuesday,
Correct.
and that would be June 10th.
Yes.
It'll be a public hearing, Mike.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that, I guess the best thing for someone in the public to have with them is a copy of the town plan. And if they had any questions about the plan itself and the process, they would just bring it up. When you say it open, is that open, like the public can comment on it, or?
Yes, yes. The point of those meetings is for the select board to receive public comment on the plan. So it was all about us listening, and the next one will be all about listening as well.
And I guess at that point, you would have probably all read, is that possible that you would, I know it's pretty big. But
Yeah.
you probably, the members of the select board would probably try to read to sort of be able to field questions or field concerns, so that things don't.
We've all read it, I believe. I've read it once and then been talked about several parts of it over and over again. Part of the reason for having it on Planning Commission night is so that the gentlemen and ladies who wrote it are there to answer in-depth questions about their thought processes when they wrote parts of it. So yeah, we're hoping to get your questions answered, and also in particular I'll add to get the public's feeling about the changes that are involved.
It's on the town website, so you can either read it directly or download it.
Kind of, not quite easily, it might be better for us to get a firm copy we don't have really good service.
We have copies.
Yeah, I hate even to
Maybe
ask
they
to
have-
say, run me one, because it's,
It will cost you
You know.
I think we charge $5 for the plans. But I don't know if we're actually do that during the hearing process, quite frankly.
Yeah, if you need a copy, we can get you a copy.
yeah, that was it.
Yeah. Okay. We're taking public comments if you have one. Oh, all right. Item 2, does anyone have a conflict with interest with anything on the schedule tonight? Mr. Harrington, I believe you're planning to recuse during the part where we talk about the garage.
I don't believe I'm going to do that anymore. I checked with Secretary of State's office, and they said that they couldn't see any conflict. So I guess I won't be recusing myself.
Okay. Can you provide the rest of the board with a written statement from the Secretary of State to that effect? And the reason that we need that, at least in my mind, is that the reason we have this policy is that the entire board can be tainted if the public perceives that votes involve conflicts of interest. So
I can get one. I talked to the, I don't remember it was Craig something. He's Assistant Secretary of State. I talked to him a week ago.
Okay. If you could get him to send us a document, or send you, and you could forward it to us,
Okay?
explaining how you explained the situation and how he explained that that's not a conflict, we can take that into consideration. I'm willing to accept Mr. Harrington on word tonight, because what we're discussing tonight are long-term goals about the garage. We're not planning to take any concrete action. I don't believe there's any strict financial conflict that will come about with his participation tonight, unless there is objection from the rest of the board.
None.
All right. Approval of minutes.
I am gonna ask that we postpone until our next meeting. I have draft minutes that are available on request, but we are behind not having a recording clerk. And so hopefully we can do formal approval at your next meeting.
That would be,
Of the past 2 May minutes.
so that would be the
5th
two,
and the
the
13th.
special meeting, the one before and this one. Okay, 3, okay, thank you.
3. Yep.
That's fine, and I would just say, to Margie, I'd like to personally thank you for, in addition to everything else you're doing, been acting as our recording clerk during our meetings. I would offer to do that, but I can't do 2 things at once, so I'm unable to, and I appreciate your taking on that duty. And the minutes that you've been generating for us have been very accurate and helpful. Item 4, approval of warrants. I have 3 warrants here, I believe. I have payroll warrant 23 in the amount of $16,863.98. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And this is Beamer's, there's the word I'm looking for, retirement warrant in the amount of $107.09. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I have a general fund warrant in the amount of $31,477.03. Major items on that are BCBSVT, that looks like health insurance, $7,309.71. John Ray and Sons is what, Margie?
That's our diesel.
Or what?
Diesel?
Diesel, okay, gasoline. Got 2 of those, $2,307.05, $1,035.06. Mountain Air Assessor, that is our appraiser.
Correct.
That is $3,255.21. TAM, $6,222.44. West Oil, I've got 3 of those, $15.49, $7.57, $5.41. And William Barney Construction is for
That's gravel.
gravel,
Stone.
and that is $3,424
And that was from the middle of April.
in the middle of
He's a
April.
little
Okay,
behind on his billing,
all right.
middle to late April.
Yeah.
What is that, Tim? Is it gravel, is it stone, what is it?
I have a, is that in here, Margie?
Well, you have to go look at the slips. And then go back and look at Terry's logs.
So that's not easy to pull up?
Well, we try to track where all the gravel is going, and so on the invoice, actual invoice itself, you may see that the roads are designated. If not, that probably was when they were trying to fill holes all over
Yeah, this is,
the early portion of when we had breakup.
yeah, this is during mud season.
He had a whole bunch of tailings, Kenny.
Oh, was it Daley?
Yes,
Okay, 'cause
yep,
Daley's got them, but I think his is probably finer.
yes. Daley's is too big.
Yeah.
Daley's is
Yeah,
like that.
okay, that's,
Do you want me to find that before we go on?
no, it's, when it comes down, maybe I'll see if I can find it.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, it's not coming up easy without going through the whole stack, so if,
Well, you go ahead and I'll see if I can find it.
okay. Motion to approve? Second? Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Who did the motion on that?
Okay, we already did public comments, so right on schedule, we're ready to meet with Ricky Harrington from Glastonbury. I guess that would be you.
Not here yet.
Oh, no, he's not
No,
here,
he's not here.
okay. All right. Well,
We can move that down and for when he comes in and go on to the next one.
the next one is a public hearing, which needs to be at 7 o'clock.
West Mountain Road.
Road foreman's not here. Look what I did.
Well, I can,
I just, what is it?
want me to tell Terry to
Didn't say?
let him
Oh,
know, at
2 to
least
3
we'll be
inch
getting to him
Oh,
sooner or
okay,
later.
okay.
Well, when I was looking down through here, let me see,
We can take number 10.
Number 10.
number 10. Yeah, without objection, we'll move down to number 10 and take up Howard Park Security. Art, I believe you had something to
Yeah, I've
discuss
got,
about that.
I've got pictures of that Walter provided.
Oh, thank you. There you go. Cheers.
There's a couple there.
Someone drive through the fence?
Well, that's all been put back together, but that's what they do, isn't it, Walter? They'll drive right through. They just,
Oh, okay.
Pop it, they just punch it and,
Not hit it with a vehicle of some kind.
yeah, it looks
Well, that
like,
was the first that we, I think, I asked what happened to it initially, and it was our guys blowing snow or plowing, one or the other. And so I asked the crew to see if they could repair this. But anyway, yes, so the long and short is that it looks like the last blow below the belt was actual vandalism. And, how often would you say, I know they've been bent, even when I got here, the gates were bent.
But after Terry fixed it, it got bent again, that's when it got knocked off.
Yeah.
this is blue paint or something?
So how often is
it
this
looks like
kind
it.
of thing happening?
Well, there's like 3-4 times maybe that this has happened. But now it's to the point where it's gotta be fixed. It looks terrible, it is a town park and it's
Right.
eyesore, really. The other thing they do is they go in the, thank God, they're staying in the parking lot this year before they go out in the grass and do spin outs around and around. It's happening again now, it seems to be around this time of year. When school is out or whatever they do. They go in there and they churn up all the rocks and everything, throw them all up in the tennis courts and everywhere.
The second page isn't vandalism, but it is the drainage area around the fields is being plugged up so the water is now running right onto the playing fields. That blue is just waterways running right across the field. So maintenance of the drainage, the ditching and that sort of stuff.
Is that a culvert, Art?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I
yeah,
can see that.
it's probably plugged
Okay.
or not at the adequate level.
There was a drainage ditch going right along, there was a second culvert, but the kids took that out and threw it in the field.
They pulled up the culvert and threw it in.
Yeah,
the
well, I
field.
guess the frost pushes it up, now it's loose, so now they got at it and
Okay.
threw it out in the field. I
The-
still have it, it's there next to the field shed that's there.
Yeah, you know,
The-
Sounds like work the road crew can do, right?
Is game cameras up there yet?
The last picture on the second page is just, there is a huge drop-off that used to be protected with some guardrails, that the dark, you got some green and then just a dark area. That's nothing but a big drop-off where people have actually driven off and had to be pulled back, pulled out.
Huge hole there. People have driven right in there, tore them out.
Is that some sort of
There used to be
drainage?
two posts.
Or is that's for drainage
Well,
mostly?
I don't know if it's for drainage,
Come out.
I don't know if it's a
One of
culvert.
them's
It just
down.
goes right into the swamp.
Yeah.
That's on the right-hand side going up?
People gotta move over.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
coming up out of
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And of course, what people do is they get down there, the parking lot's full, so they'll start
Clearly
parking on the edge of the road.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, somebody's right on in there, so. But there used to be guardrails there
Really?
and they're gone
Wow.
now.
Do they, so just recommend putting the guardrails back up or filling it in?
Something, yes,
How about a row of rocks up there?
something, maybe.
It's gonna happen some night, somebody's gonna get in and hurt themselves.
And then you just got, the next one is just the basketball hoop has been broken. The lights on the tennis court have been gone for years.
Hang on it, it's broken now.
And then
It's the concession stand
the re-
coming apart.
the next two are not vandalism, they're just
Maintenance.
general maintenance. The biggest concern with the play area is that it's not safe at all. I mean, there's concrete sticking up out of the ground, there's no bark chips, which are now mandated by things. I think somebody said that the ladder to the slide has been taken down, so they have to climb up a chain link fence to get onto the slide to come down. There's nothing to,
This yellow thing's a slide. It's gonna be a 4-foot drop in, piece of concrete here.
Would it even pass inspection?
oh, God, no.
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 But people put their little kids, they push them up there, they let them go down. Are you crazy? You're gonna hurt somebody.
The middle picture is where they've had a party. They actually just started a bonfire in the middle of the field, have a party.
Those are crushed cans or whatever?
Yep.
Of course, beer cans, so it wasn't youngsters.
The next two, but the open doors are to the batting net. That's a fantastic thing. I mean, there's actually a net that'll come out and a ball thrower pitches it to them and they can have, it's just, they can't close the door. The doors are falling off the hinge and so it's open to vandalism.
This big net comes
The town has spent a lot of money building this
Right.
park and it's just going down fast.
Have they
Well.
done
I'm not
anything?
sure
Excuse me.
if These improvements is this the youth league that actually built the batting cage?
Could be, I don't know who did
Yeah,
it.
we have
The
to-
question, though, is that are they actually-
Issues like that, just trying to figure out who, that's another, when I have a chance to talk.
Okay.
Anyway.
Are they affecting the pitching machine? I mean, have they damaged that?
No, they haven't, that I know of.
Okay,
I've never seen it running.
'cause that's a pretty expensive piece of equipment.
That is a nice one.
A lot of the buildings need roofs, attention, soffits and fascia boards replaced and painted and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So I just think that we've got to get serious about how we go about this. We've got to start, having some money set aside for it, or the North Shaft Lions Club has indicated they're willing to do something, but we really don't want to make improvements if it's going to be vandalized constantly. So I think security is number one. Once we once we establish some sort of better security, then I think other people will step up, and I think the town will feel better about investing some money also.
So we haven't gone to the rec committee yet?
Oh, yeah, yeah, so I can fill you in on where a few items related to this discussion are. This budget for the year ending has a pay rate that was, we did a little juggling, and it was supposedly to be for an overseer. And certainly starting July 1, we have, that was the intent, to hire somebody that oversees the parks, that can actually do hands-on work, oversee open and closing. Walter submitted to me a list of everything that he does, because it's far more than mowing. And so I've developed a job description, and I've shared that with the rec committee, which was, for those of you that haven't been on the board, was formerly called the Howard Park Committee. So there has been a committee that oversees the park or helps oversee. So they took a look at the job description. The reaction, this was early April, was that this seems like an awful lot. And we haven't really had a chance to reconvene because of Green Up Day and whatnot since then. But it was my first chance at trying to encapsulate what was my vision to get somebody really actively involved in managing the parks. Because it's been I don't really know where we want to go as a community with this. There's been this long-standing committee of oversight. You don't want to build this hierarchy of people working for the town. And, we want to try to do this as low cost as possible. But in my discussions, so there's that issue. And then the other issue that's come up is, how do we interface with all the organizations that are using the facilities on a routine basis? The first attempt by the rec committee in the last, say, 3 or 4 years has been to try to bring in people for service days to help paint, to help whatever. But several organizations feel they've really already contributed. The youth baseball field, they feel that the field is being mowed and maintained by them. They built the facilities.
You don't mow the field.
I know, Walter, you do. But so the soccer folks said, well, look, we just donated the soccer shed. So one of the questions that I think we need to grapple with is how level the playing field at some point here and decide this is town-owned land. Thank you very much for the investment you've done, you've contributed, but decide what that's worth at some point, and then just from now on, I think maybe it's a lease for $1 a year. And in return, you are specifically responsible for X. So we can clarify that. If they built and they are gonna maintain their shed or that batting cage, let's make it clear. If not, let's make it clear that it's on us to do that. And so anyway, I think that's a little behind the scenes work that needs to happen. Then I'd love some input about whether or not we're really ready to staff up somebody during the day, because I know Walter really doesn't want to have to be responsible for opening and closing, and that's always a dilemma. How do we open and close? I've had the sheriff in there, but that's definitely not enough. We still have a security issue. And beyond that is to think about how we get somebody down there enough to provide surveillance, because if Walter's mowing, it's upwards of no more than 20 to 22 hours a week. That leaves us uncovered on site, really, primarily for another 4 days a week, yeah.
Doesn't seem to make a difference whether it's
evening.
It's the remoteness of the site, it's a wonderful
Right,
site.
sure.
doesn't seem to make a difference whether it's closed or open if they knock over the gate.
One of the ideas I liked from a discussion about a year ago was maybe you want to consider having somebody staffed at the park that is actually there on site for the summer months.
Like I think Carl brought that up, like provide a camper spot for someone that wants to come up for a couple months or something here, and they would stay right in the park, or,
That is, we do have water, it has to be tested, and this, after flushing out everything that Walter does, we actually have running water that we have to make potable. We have to test it. So somebody would have access, but I know we don't have a lot of time to discuss this, but I'm just floating around some other ideas.
Art, did you have specific ideas in mind when you brought this to our attention? Thank you for bringing this up. This is, I do go to Howard Park occasionally, but this has apparently gotten a lot worse over the winter than I realized. Do we have a safety situation there with the playground equipment? All right, I would think the first situation to deal with is to secure the safety situation. We don't want a kid climbing up on unsafe playground equipment and getting hurt.
We are working on that. I have my assistant working with Tam to try to remove all of that metal. And then we're going to be applying for a grant starting, I think it has to be in by July 15 for playground equipment. So the rec committee is working on that. Now actually getting the metal out of there is going to entail coordinating with the road crew.
the metal is in the metal for the
Whatever
climbing
metal
bar,
is- Whatever they agree.
the
is
chain,
gonna come out.
okay.
There's a lot of rotten wood in there too, it's gotta go.
If we have playground equipment there in a park that's open, that's unsafe for kids, we need to put a fence around it or something immediately to deal with that.
Put a caution tape around there. and-
I don't know if caution tape is going to keep a 6-year-old off of playground equipment.
I can't believe it would take them very long to, with some cutting torches to get all that out of there. I would say the quicker the better. Put that at the top priority.
Yank it.
Just a matter of loading it in the truck and taking it up to Tam and weighing it.
All right.
It's a really good time to bring all these issues up because I really like the fact that this crew will volunteer to do work across departments. That was not always the situation. So I really think we need to think that, okay, if the road crew is very willing to help out, then I think that accordingly we need to budget on the rec side, and it helps out the highway budget. Okay, you're billing across departments. So that would be my end goal.
Would they be doing a lot in there? I mean, would it be like
Well,
a standard?
here's the other issue is we had volunteers and lots of support to get the rink apparatus for Cleveland Park. But now there's no one around to set it up, so the crew set it up. But there was nobody available to maintain it. And so the guys really don't want to have to set it up again. They're taking it down and we're going to store, but it's not being
Okay,
used.
but North Shaft Lions bought that, and we will,
That's right.
we will put it up if not, we were understanding that the road crew would do it, but if they don't want to, we will take responsibility for it.
That's
Okay?
All right.
That's great.
Back to top priority, securing unsafe playground equipment. Were you going to have Tam step up the priority in removing that equipment?
No, it has to be the road crew.
Road crew.
The road crew's going to remove that
I
equipment.
mean, I don't have anybody else that we
Right.
don't have a maintenance staff.
No.
Walter
So-
can't do it.
Make a motion to authorize the road crew to get out there at their earliest convenience and remove the danger to children at the park.
Great.
Second?
Second.
Discussion? I would offer an amendment that we at least put caution tape around that equipment tomorrow to make sure that people are aware that it could be unsafe.
Agree.
Second?
Second.
Discussion on the amendment? All in favor?
Aye.
So we have an amendment to instruct the road crew to prioritize removing the unsafe playground equipment and as soon as possible, put caution tape around the area to keep, to warn people away from the unsafe playground equipment.
Just for my clarification, we're removing all the playground equipment?
No.
It looks
They
like,
do not want to move it all out of there.
so if,
Just the
It's
damage.
just the unsafe
You said it
area.
was wood was rotten, you
The
said,
most-
didn't you?
Yeah, rotten wood, anytime we have protruding.
Yeah, the slides are
nuts
fine,
and
they're in a
bolts.
separate area.
Okay.
Merry-go-round's in a separate area, just that where that wooden round thing.
The circle there, the circle with the,
looks like if you remove the metal, you remove access to the,
But perhaps, if there are differing opinions about what is safe and unsafe, that there should be a meeting. Because I have a suspicion that there are differences of opinions of the rec committee and others. That's just.
well, when the rec committee gets a grant, is it like a full playground thing?
No,
So-
then we
Or
were-
just specific pieces of equipment
It's gonna be specific pieces.
to replace the bed damage?
Yes, but, actually, this is a segue into another, very quickly, I had tried our insurance carrier come and do an assessment. And they gave ideas at how, Cleveland Park about what was needed for drop zones, for swinging, and depth of fall, whatever we needed to do. So that's what I would recommend that we do again, whether it's our current carrier or the League of Cities and Towns, whoever.
All right, let's complete the action on this motion. Is there any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 I'd like to keep this on the agenda at least every
Yeah,
once in a
give an
while,
update.
and let's not just
Yes, I
forget
think
it.
it sounds like we also need to have a meeting
Rec.
of the rec committee as soon as possible. What is their regular meeting schedule, as needed?
I think it's been as needed.
Okay. Walt, are you on that committee?
No.
Okay, but you would come if we had a meeting? Do we want to try and schedule a meeting now, or do you, Margie, would you rather try and contact the committee?
Next
As, I
regular
want to be as efficient as possible, so we can, why don't I email the rec committee saying, please join us? I'd like to just have them join us here.
Yeah, next regular select board.
I'm wondering if we want to have that here, or do we want to have that at the
Or on
park?
site, maybe.
Yeah,
On site, 6 o'clock for a half hour, and then come down here and come back, or 5:30, 5:45 or something.
Or even a special night. It's fine with me, too.
yeah, I'm thinking not on a select board night, but as soon as we can schedule it.
Yep.
Why don't you just pick a day and then we invite, and
All right. Thursday,
maybe 2 days, say Thursday?
This Thursday?
this Thursday?
I don't think I
I'm not
can,
gonna be in town.
I might be able to make it.
What time?
Yeah, I'll be working.
5:30? 5?
You will be working?
I'll be working here. It's our graduation weekend, so I'm out of the office Friday, Monday.
Oh, okay, all right.
So is it
I will
5
be
o'clock
here,
or
and I can
5:30?
tie in
Wednesday?
a Visit, 5 to 5:30.
I can't do Wednesday. I can do Thursday about 5.
Thursday at 5? All right, Thursday at 5, we have a Recreation Committee meeting at Howard Park.
And if there's an alternate date that works, if I really can't, it's comprised of basically 2 people. That's all we have.
Okay.
If they can't make it, can we do it?
5 PM. 5:22, right?
Okay. If they can't make it, we'll
Yeah,
try to
why-
schedule it via email.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. We're going to move back to our regular schedule at 7 PM. We're right on schedule. We're continuing our hearing on Don Green Road discontinuance. This is our second meeting. We had some questions last time that we asked be reviewed by the, that we were going to ask the attorney. Margie was able to get that information from VLCT. Did everyone see that? It came out late today.
Yeah.
Yes, I
I didn't see
If you
it.
can bring it up, it's going to be an email.
Well, this It's a hearing setting, so this needs to be brought up in the hearing setting.
Okay.
This information. That's why this was not meant to be just a missile that was sent to
Or is it
people.
property owner values?
It
Right.
needs to be, yeah.
I'm planning to read the information. Is that what you wanted?
This one?
No,
It's
it's
an
just
email.
in an email that I forwarded that Margie sent to me today.
At 3:01 PM.
Wilmington on Don Green.
There you go.
So the questions we had were,
We're gonna call the hearing.
the first one was about whether or not if we decided to downgrade the status of the road as opposed to completely discontinue it, could we do that with the same hearing process, or would that be a different hearing process? And what VLCT said is technically you can do it with the same hearing process. Margie and the VLCT person recommended in an abundance of caution that if we do decide to downgrade instead of discontinue, that we declare another hearing to make sure that the word gets out fully. The second question was about culvert maintenance in the event of discontinuance. And as we suspected, the town would not maintain culverts or bridges in the event that we discontinue the road. All maintenance becomes responsibility of landowners. So that was there. Margie, you mentioned that currently we have a stake in managing beavers to keep those culverts open, and that would all become a private endeavor if we discontinue. And then
It needs to be a public-private partnership, no matter what. When surrounding our culverts, because usually the beaver activity is over a wide area that finally backs up and affects the culvert. So no matter what, I mean, to be successful, I think you need a coordinated effort of private landowners, and it's not just shooting. That's
No,
gonna do it.
Right.
Wrapping and
right.
moving.
I mean, in
They're
the
always there.
okay.
They've been busy.
And then what happens to the disposition of the land in the event that we discontinue? She cites the law that describes how adjacent landowners take title of the right-of-way. If it is located between the lands of two different landowners, it shall be returned to the lots to which it originally belonged, if that can be determined. If not, it shall be equally divided among the landowners on each side, which is what we suspected, I believe, when we talked about it the last time. So that was the research we did for this. This is a public hearing. Do we have any more public input on this issue of discontinuance of Don Green Road?
Just clarification.
If you would state your name again for us.
Oh, Elizabeth Elwell, I'm a landowner.
And perhaps you should come up here because the people out in TV land. Oh, yeah, there we go. Thank you.
So my name is Elizabeth Elwell, and I am a landowner, one of the landowners of two. And I just would like some clarification about what right-of-way this refers to, because I'm not clear whether the right-of-way includes the right-of-way that runs through my property from Simeon Dean to Don Green, and then includes, would this then become a right-of-way as well? I'm not sure. Do you know?
You know what, Elizabeth, what we are considering discontinuing is the description that was mailed to you. So it says, and the graphic representation would really just be our highway map, if you want it, which I sent to everybody.
Last week's map.
So, and this is what I was talking over with the league. The reason she
Aerial?
thought that we could take
Oh,
any number of
somewhere.
decisions tonight was that we were pretty precise in how we talked about the right-of-way. So the legal warning reads as follows, and it really is only the portion of the road that is Class 3 that travels southeasterly to its point of termination at the dwelling, and it's in .08 miles in length, I believe, that's how I worded it. And so that is the only right-of-way, if you consider it's a parcel, it's a layer of fabric, you look at it like a parcel. And
But
it would be X
connects-
feet in wide.
Right, but it connects to this other road that evidently, is it abandoned? Is it discontinued?
Where do you live? You live down towards Simdene Road?
Right here.
I live on
This is
Simdene
talking about-
Road.
This is Don Green, this is the
Yeah.
right of way she's referring to Don.
Do you know what
Goes-
was in the
goes through the
original
woods.
deed,
Yeah.
Elizabeth?
Say it again?
What was in the original deed? Was that part, that road, part of your right-of-way?
Well, my deed and her and Elizabeth Green's deed are different in their description of that right-of-way, which is the cause of confusion. And I'm just wondering if Don Green Road is discontinued, what is the point of the right-of-way? Or maybe, I don't know, I just want to know how it affects that piece of,
A right-of-way doesn't necessarily have to go all the way through to some other road. It can go and end, and that's a right-of-way to get to certain
It's the
lands.
right-of-way.
And I think it would be going up to the Peckham, that they would have access to go up your right-of-way, which, I don't know why they would do that, because they would use Don Green Road. But,
Well, that used to go all the way through.
that's right.
yeah,
Years ago, that went from Simdene Road all the way over.
yeah, and then they put Don Green Road in there, and they come.
Oh,
Yeah,
that
it
was
was
part of it. That was
Shaftsbury
part of it.
Town
It was
Road at
all
one
right straight
point.
through.
Do we know if we still have this right of way, do we?
Yes.
This extension?
No,
No.
no, you,
We don't.
I would check with council because the ancient roads legislation clearly extinguished the town's interest in a lot of our ancient rights of ways, unless they
But-
were mapped and/or.
But that's, if it was on a town map at some point, it is not an ancient road. It is still our right-of-way. And I don't know if anybody,
I think we have to clarify that
Yeah.
part, so we'll have to clarify that, but the disposition of the right-of-way, so we're only talking at the end, we're not talking about anything else tonight.
Okay.
There's still a question as to really where that right-of-way is located, sounds like. So the statute defines a default width of a Class 3 road as 3 rods. But that's only if there's none other recorded information. So if your deed and somebody else's deed define that right of way, somebody's gonna have to do some legal research and reconcile those surveys and descriptions to come up with the actual description of this road, which I'm not defining in meets and bounds. And then we would have to go from there. So one of the actions that the board has, if they truly wish to discontinue, is cause a survey to be conducted. Or if you're gonna be laying out a class 4, if you wanna reclassify or whatever.
But if we just declassified that road, then it would be up to the property owners to dispute the right-of-way, wouldn't it?
That would be my thought. It all reverts to private ownership.
Exactly. So it wouldn't be our
We
issue.
extinguish our interest,
It wouldn't be our issue.
but you can have the town
Art?
attorney look if Art has some.
I've got a little bit more information on this. I went to Terry, all this started when Terry Stacy, our road foreman, went to Peckham or to Brian Lent and just said, it seems like I'm just plowing somebody's private driveway, which in reality, it kind of looks like it. And so he said, would you willing to be maintain it? And of course, Peckham says, if we're going to maintain it, we want to own it. So there are several things. First of all, it's not in the town's interest to give up right-of-ways, public right-of-ways, and this is a public right-of-way. Secondly, it would be a nightmare because that road, you've got two people owning it on both sides, and so therefore you go to the center line of the road, and now there's no more road because, thirdly, when the town built that, they upset the natural flow of water with the road, hence a culvert, hence the town now, in my opinion, has an obligation to keep that culvert going, otherwise you're going to have problems. So I just see a whole mess of things, and it's only Terry's idea of I'm plowing somebody's driveway, which is not really true because it's a public right-of-way, and it's no different than people that don't have children paying school tax. It's no different than people in Shaftsbury Hollow complaining about the sander that they built for the sidewalk, or the people in Cleveland Avenue complaining about the grader. So it's all, in my opinion, it's all public good, and it's all public right-of-way, and I make the motion that we leave it as is, that we don't consider it any further. To just leave it as it is. The town will maintain that until such time as nobody occupies the building, and then we can, because somebody lives there, and we need to keep the road open and passable for fire trucks, ambulances, and so on and so forth.
If you don't mind, I would ask that we hold that motion until we finish with public input, have a formal deliberation, and then I was planning to move on that at the end of the 30-minute time period.
I would just like to say that the beaver issue is a very real issue, and I think there are concerns about what happens to the surrounding lands and the road, Airport Road itself, because it's right there. If the beavers do such damage that there's a problem with the water flow. But
Okay, good.
that's all I have.
Any other public input? All right, if there's no further public input, let's deliberate. Do we have to move into a deliberative portion?
We have to close the hearing.
Then I move that we close the hearing portion of this meeting.
So moved.
And seconded?
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Now we are in deliberation about this. I think Art makes some good points. My only question, and I think I know the answer, is, and Terry's here so he can answer this for us, how much hardship and money are we spending maintaining Don Green Road?
It's not a lot of money in either one, maintaining or plowing it. I always felt it was a road when it was a through road, but when the resident sold the road to a corporation, I felt that it alleviated our responsibilities for basically a driveway. I don't know how everybody else feels about that, but it's not a through road no more. It probably never will be again.
Okay.
So it's not a big burden as an expense, it's just a from here to there back shop, basically.
Terry, I don't think when the land was sold that the road became part of the land. That is still the public right-of-way.
Yes, to the house though, or it doesn't go through no more.
I understand, but,
Okay.
yeah. But I kind of got the impression you were thinking that because Daley owns the road, well, Daley doesn't own the road, it's still a private, or it's still a public right-of-way. Okay.
I think if we reclassify it to a trailer class 4, or class 4, we still have to maintain the culvert, but it kind of frees us up from plowing it in the winter. It basically closes the road in the wintertime. And so you're getting the beaver thing taken care of by the town if it were to happen, and it doesn't force us to maintain it in the wintertime, which is the big problem going up there and turning around with a big plow truck. And it's still a town highway, just a class 4.
Got somebody living there.
So is that person a tenant of
Yes.
Daley?
Yes.
And I believe he said that he would be willing to plow that in the winter too.
No.
Didn't he say that last week?
No, that's the problem. if he's going to plow it and maintain it,
He wants to own
they
it.
don't own it. You've got a person living there that has the right to live there as long as they live, according to the deal with Daley's. So it's a public, in my opinion, it's a public right-of-way, and we've got to maintain it. We've got to plow it. Until there's nobody there.
But they don't own that though, right? They're
Doesn't make
tenants.
any difference.
They're tenants.
Doesn't make any difference.
I mean, there's people that live on private roads.
It's not
in
a
town
private,
that-
that's the problem, it's not a private road, it's a public right-of-way.
But you do have the authority and ability to reclassify. I mean, so this, just to make sure, factually, that's all.
That's right.
Yeah.
Do they still have those, on the, Cross Hill Road, that little, up that house, that white house? Do they still plow that?
Yeah, I think he's talking about
I don't know who lives there now.
Austin.
Austin.
You don't go up Austin's driveway, do you? No, there used to be, because everybody claimed that was a stagecoach road that went up over the mountain to Arlington, and,
Oh, no. We've widened Cross Hill a lot.
yeah, no.
Yeah, no, there was down, as you go down the hill, it's the last one. No,
No, we don't, just
Okay.
Cross Hill, then State Line Road.
yeah, okay.
That used to be another one that was, that's on
Yeah.
the maps, too.
So is Don Green Road then would be the only one that's only got one house, something like that, left?
One house, yes. Yes, that's the one road, but even, I hear what Art's saying. The issue that I have, even with my 1 ton, that is hard to tell where the side of that road is in the wintertime. So if Dave tries to help me out once in a while, and he just turns on and goes up there with that 6-wheel dump truck, a little bit bigger one with a 12-foot plow on there, I'm just worried that he's not gonna know where the edge is sometime and miss it,
I've seen a lot of them in there.
because it's so narrow.
If you cut that corner too short, you're down the brook.
I was there twice this year.
Yeah.
So,
Art, how do you feel about downgrading it to Class 4?
Well, I don't know the difference. I don't care what you downgrade it to, it's just that I believe the town has an obligation to maintain and plow that road. I don't care what, I don't know all the different classifications.
well, that's, I guess, what we're talking about, because that's the whole crux of the matter.
Yeah, well, I believe, Mitch, your point is if we downgrade it to a Class 4, we still own it, it's still our right-of-way, we still have to maintain that culvert, but as a Class 4, it's not something we're required to plow in the winter.
That's not agreeable as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I think that, I was just gonna double check. We're not wedded to a right-of-way that has to be any wider to keep it as a Class 3. I think you need to think about whether or not good fences make good neighbors, or, one good deed to another. It's always been a public right-of-way, and I'm also, there are many other towns that have the same philosophy, that relinquishing a right-of-way, I mean, we're not talking about discontinuing right now, but preserving rights-of-way is important if they're public. And it's absolutely true from everything I've been reading in the V-Trans handbook, yeah, that we don't have any responsibilities to maintain the bridges or culverts, though the league has begun to insinuate that that's sort of a gray area now. So it may be something that, if we downgrade that road, it may be something that we warn specifically, and that we do a little more consultation with our town attorney. I don't really know.
Maybe look at the deeds too
I
and
think
see
that
how
we
that worded.
also, if I remember correctly, in my prior situation, we considered downgrading, but you're still, you can't lose the entire face of the road, you just can't let it sink into the wetland and disappear. So we would still have some minimal responsibilities.
It's a disaster because that affects Airport Road, Simmondine Road. Once those beaver get established, they do a number all over the place. It's more than just that Don Green Road. It's several roads that are affected.
It sounded to me like there's considerable downsides that could occur if we discontinue this road. And the upside of discontinuing this road is not large,
No.
that we save the road crew a little bit of trouble, but it doesn't sound like it's a lot. I'm leaning toward Art's opinion that we not discontinue this road. And one thing that we can do is choose not to discontinue this road through this hearing process. We could do more investigation, perhaps, Mitch, if you'd care to take lead on that and look into downgrading it as a separate hearing process, as was suggested by VLCT.
Well, I mean, if it's not a big burden, I mean, we lose a truck or two in the swamp, then it becomes a bigger burden.
Tim,
Well-
just to let you know, our guy, Tim Gully, has got about 10 beavers between Old Depot Road and that swamp there. His traps are still in there. He's trapping every day, he goes up every morning before work, he's eliminating them pretty good.
Okay, good.
Good.
I mean, if we're not gonna discontinue it, we're not gonna discontinue it. Whether it's a class 4 or class 3, what it is now, right away. I think it's a little bit of a liability on the town side because of the narrowness of the road. I just went by it before I came here, and it's, look down or spill coffee, next thing you know, you're in the swamp. But if Terry feels comfortable enough plowing it, I'll look into some of the deeds and the class 4 stuff, but I'll go to listers, see if I can get the deeds, the page numbers, and see if there's any specific language in there for the Don Green right away for the landowners around there.
Mitch, we can have the town clerk, we can put Judy on that, we have our highway book.
Yep.
I can work with you on that. I'm more interested in a very academic way now about the issue of the older right-of-way and what the real status of that is, so we need to really make sure we clarify that.
Okay. Get the
We
town clerk.
gotta come to, I think that's one aspect of the hearing that we need to get an answer to.
I had a person call the other day and brought up the point that, what if that dam went on that pond on Simmondine Road? That would be the only way to go down through Don Green Road and across that right of way to get anybody out of there. I mean, that, you're right away, but,
It's a public
Thank you.
right, it's a public right of way, so.
well, yeah, but that, again, if the dam went, that's the only way out of there.
Who maintains the dam?
What's that?
Who maintains that dam?
I don't know.
Well, they have to go around, because Simeon go out the East Road or something.
All right, Art made a motion
That'd be
earlier
more.
that we not discontinue Don Green Road. Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any more discussion on this topic?
Actually, you make it in the affirmative, so you motion to discontinue.
May I?
Yes.
Is it appropriate?
Yeah.
When I was on the board and Austin Road was under discussion just like this, and it would have been a real hardship to stop plowing that road for Ed. I think you might have a similar situation here with Mrs. Green, Elizabeth. I'd be cautious about that.
So yes, Margie, we did make that motion in the negative. I'm wondering if that's the best thing to do. I'm sorry?
So it would just be a motion to discontinue.
Okay.
Somebody else could float it if Art doesn't
All
want
right,
to.
so let's amend that motion, shall we, to a motion to discontinue?
To not discontinue.
To not discontinue.
Yeah, I think what Margie's suggesting is that we make a motion to discontinue and vote it
The
down.
motion fails.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we did get into the second, so let's amend that motion and to say
that we move that Don Green Road be discontinued. Is there a second for that amendment?
I'll second it.
Yeah.
You want to go through all that? You just have
Well, we pretty much have to if we've created a
a
motion.
motion to discontinue.
No, motion to
Motion to
discontinue.
discontinue.
So that's the amendment.
Yeah, that's.
So the amendment is to change the wording of the motion to a motion to discontinue.
Okay.
All in favor of the amendment, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Is
Oh,
that
of the amendment.
of the amendment? Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so, Ken?
Aye.
Okay, so we have 500 to change the wording of the motion to, the board moves to discontinue Don Green Road. And I think we're all in agreement now that we're going to vote, or our intention in doing that is, my intention is to agree with Art that we not discontinue. So, any more discussion? All in favor of discontinuing Don Green Road, say aye. All opposed? No.
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 No. No abstentions. So that's 0-5-0.
Right.
We have all agreed not to discontinue Don Green Road
Now, your
and avoided a double negative in that process.
I'm
your
impressed.
findings have to be in written form and signed by the board and recorded
Okay.
by the statute. So we'll work on that. But you have 60 days to do that.
All right.
Finding of facts.
Okay. We never got our Ricky Harrington, did we?
No. Not here.
Okay. We will forge ahead then with our road foreman's report. Terry, if you would approach the bench.
Well, we've narrowed it down to dead-end roads for grading. We pretty much got all main roads through Fairs done. Did Hidden Valley today, Dexter, Timber Trail. Gonna finish Granger tomorrow. We're pretty much covered for, they're in pretty decent shape finally. They're pretty well holding. I know Myers Road, we gotta get back on again. That'll be about the third time this spring. Done quite a bit of ditching already this spring. I think we're in pretty good shape for the way our budget is appearing and for the way the spring and winter went. I think we're pretty good shape.
Excellent, because you haven't gone over budget according that much.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing. I don't know how you did it.
Yeah, I think you're to be commended. I read the papers, and towns all around us were shutting down roads to an extent that it made the papers. And I don't believe we had to shut any roads down completely. I know there were times when there were spots that were really bad and probably not passable by most, but that was probably measured in hours and not days when that happened.
Absolutely.
I think you've done a great job getting through a really difficult mud season after a really difficult winter.
I don't know who graded Hidden Valley today, but they did a good job.
Timmy, Big Tim.
Holy Smoke Road, you meeting with the neighbors on, the landowners on that? Do you want the selectmen involved in that, or you want to handle that?
I think that we're gonna have didn't the day we were there, say we're gonna have a get-together with all of them?
I think so. You want us,
I've talked to,
you want the select board, or you want just one person, or what would you like?
I think any one of the select board that wants to be there should see what they're talking about and what they're considering.
Okay.
But I have seen a couple of them individually after that, and they don't have a problem with making it more passable, they just don't want them all gone.
Yep, I understand.
And I've had people in and they definitely are opposing tree work, and they are asking to be kept informed, so that's all I would do,
Yeah.
is keep them informed of when.
Well, they like the water bars, but they don't understand the grader don't like water
Well,
bars.
and I don't know if water bar is illegal either.
Probably not, but it's the way it's been for
Yeah, I understand.
ever.
Myers Road would be a good example of, I mean, everybody was opposed to Myers Road coming up off from 7, and I think that's just beautiful. It's got ditches, it's got trees still.
Absolutely.
And so I think if they saw that, they
Even
would,
fabric doesn't work if you don't put the ditches in.
exactly, so some people are saying we don't want the trees cut, but the trees are growing in the road on Holy Smoke Road. A grader, explain to them the grader can't even do a
Well,
full-
even the old grader with a 12-foot blade
just-
has a hard time going up through there, just one pass. It can't put it nowhere. It's basically impossible to grade that road.
So have explained this at length to people, that that's the motivation for trying to.
The trees are so close now to the side of the road. Art and I rode up there the other day that the way our plows are conformed, the top of the plow sticks out about that much more than the bottom does. So if you miss the tree, you're basically that far away from the tree at the bottom. So the snow is rolling there and it's falling back into the traveled road on that portion of the road, especially when we get as much snow as we did this winter.
Does a
Nowhere to
school,
put snow.
does a school bus go that road, or?
They go to the bottom of the hill, they will not go up the hill
Yeah, well,
because of
that's-
that reason.
You know, that's not right. It's not safe. Fire trucks and everything would have a hard time getting up there.
And it's, for some reason, becoming a lot more thoroughfare from East Road down to the store all of a sudden. They're using that road a lot more heavily than they ever have.
Is it one side of the road? I guess I mean, is it one side that's
Don't know.
more, all the way down?
This big around.
Could you do one, remove them on one side and?
Well, the east side's where I want to put the ditch.
Okay.
Because there's a house on the west side. And I don't want all the water running into his house, obviously.
Makes sense.
So I'd like to put the ditch on the east side, then right below his house, culvert it under.
Okay.
Wait a minute, we want to install a culvert in this too?
Well,
We're not
yeah,
talking about that now.
No.
We're just talking about the tree.
yeah. I'm just trying to remove the water where it doesn't upset anybody.
Well, just make it known, and maybe some of us will try to be there, okay?
Yeah.
Well.
You set up the appointment.
Okay, now, all right, so you're gonna take the lead on.
I can, sure.
This is what I want to know. But that's obviously gonna entail getting you everybody's phone numbers and.
Well, I can talk to them, the main guy that's,
Oh, okay.
Involved with
Say, just
everybody.
tell 'em.
and ask them what night's good for you guys for your regular meeting night, or even after work some night, we could meet them there.
Anytime.
That would be a site visit.
Site visit.
Does that all have to be warned and all that sort of stuff, or can we just do a site visit?
If it's gonna be 2 or more people, well, 3 or more selectmen, then I need to warn it, that would be a quorum. So, what are your
So-
brothers?
Keep it down to 2. You and I can go look at it
That's all right.
if I'm available.
I'll take a look at it on my own, and, you know, we'll talk about it at the next
Okay,
meeting.
now, I've told Terry this, I wanted to double check, and we can, this is just a slight tangent on this particular issue, is that, we have a time-sensitive nature, right, with the arrangement that we're contemplating,
Yes, yes.
that involves really non-monetary compensation to a contractor, because this contractor, this logger, would be taking all the wood and in turn selling it for firewood. And I wanted to bring it to the board table because I have no guidance. Our procurement policies and purchasing policies all talk about compensation, monetary compensation. And there would most likely be there may be some other parties out there that would like an opportunity at this same job. The question is, what do we do as stewards? You know, what should we be doing to address that concern? And then the other, well, that was my concern. There is compensation. You can't ignore that. It's not just somebody's willing to do a good deed. But this logger has a short term, window availability, and it's more likely that others wouldn't do it. But
Can I explain the reason for it? Just so you know why we were talking about this, a logger showed me interest that he would come in with his skidder and his big cables and hook them to the trees, because obviously you've seen there's a certain way these trees have to go without the power lines, and some of them are bigger than our road crew should be dealing with. And he has saws big enough to do it, and he can hook his skidder to them and winch them in the direction they need to go. And he would be willing to do that, then pull them up to a landing so we can open the road at the end of the day each day. And then in turn, we wouldn't have to pay him a fee, he would just take the logs that we took out of there. We will chip the brush ourselves with our chipper, but he'll take care of the trees, we won't have to cut any of them. He'll take all the liability on his shoulders with his insurance.
So there's no financial exchange, it's
No
just.
financial
Not
exchange.
from the town, just he's gonna sell it on.
Basically helping us get the road opened up with trees that are basically a little bigger than our, I mean, we just did a bunch of trees by Art's house and they're about that big around, that's about what I like to handle.
Margie's point was, though, this is work that could involve money, and we're dealing with it in a sole source manner, and essentially by going to this person. In my mind, it's one of those, no good deed goes unpunished kind of situations where Terry is being creative and, working contacts and finding people that will save the taxpayers money, but we have to be careful that another logger in town who would have liked to have done it and would have done it also for the wood doesn't feel like the town is essentially sole sourcing without a proper procurement process. So I hear what Margie's saying. I like what Terry's doing in thinking about this. It sounds like as we move forward on this, we need to maybe consult with the LCT or the attorney and see if we...
no, because it's our policy.
Really?
It's our purchasing policy, and you can waive it. I'll send it to you again. I mean, you can waive the policies if you think that it's the time to do it. I love creativity, but the be there, we gotta do it right now kind of thing.
No, we got about a month we could
Yeah.
play with, whatever, it's just.
We don't even have the buy-in from all the landowners as to what we're really gonna do and whether or not we actually need it. That's.
And you haven't been here, I do try to jump around with everything. If I hire triaxles, I always try to get a different one the next time.
Yeah.
As the last time. We had a different logger do our site. He gave us a real good deal up there. He did that. That's why I didn't go to him this time for this project. I try to use other local guys or semi-local guys for everything we do. Today, if I need a triaxle, I'll hire John Soretta. Tomorrow could be Bill Barney. The next day could be Matt Morris. But I do try to spread it out as much as I can for everybody around here. Craig Weaver, I use his roller all the time when we're back in the roads.
That still doesn't, the only thing is it still doesn't address my issue of how to assign a value to all the work that needs to be done along there. I mean, I'm thinking that the avoided cost is, some of the large trees are $1,000 a tree.
Minimum.
So I'm thinking that you've got in excess of $10,000 worth of work that we're doing.
Yeah.
However, that may be nowhere near what one person can get in the way for firewood. So that's the.
You've got a value of veneer log, but these aren't veneer logs, so you gotta put in a value of firewood, so.
Right, firewood.
Yeah,
That
so.
would be helpful, so you gotta.
Chain link
try to
fence, or not chain link, barbed wire fence, all three.
Oh, yeah, so they aren't gonna cut the bottom 4 feet,
And you saw, there's a lot of rotten ones there, a
Yes.
lot of dead ones.
so
So if we have.
Does any of the
any
landowners
estimate-
want some of the wood?
The one gentleman said he'd take some smaller stuff on it'd be the east side of the road there on the corner. He said he'd take anything that was on his side of the stone wall, he said. Otherwise, he said he didn't care, he wanted it all gone. But if we wanted to cut the other side of the stone wall, he was fine with it. You could just leave that there.
Right.
but he didn't want anything too big because he's an elderly gentleman, he's cutting it all himself.
Right.
But we're talking about some trees that are in the road, I mean, they're really
Yeah,
in the road, they're that big around, they're huge.
right.
I don't have a
But like
saw
Art
big
said,
enough.
they're not, other than firewood value, that's all they're good for.
That's what we're gonna do with it.
So I don't see tens of thousands of dollars, I just see a few $100s
Right.
and.
It's worth that, they don't have to deal with them.
Well, the point is that you can't, let's say firewood is what, $175 a cord or something, but that's all the work.
How many cords we think we're gonna.
Well, you gotta back down to just the value of the wood itself, because the $175 is all the cutting and splitting and delivering, okay?
Right.
So I think you're talking not a lot of money.
Right.
Like a truckload of logs is what, $400 or $500. A big load of logs
Yeah.
for firewood is
Yeah.
$400 or $500.
Seven to-
What would you get? 6 or 7 loads out of there, maybe? It's hard to say.
That's hard to say, I mean, until this meeting, we don't really know what we're gonna
No, I
be able to do
understand.
either,
Yeah, we
so.
don't know.
I mean, this might be a lot of conversation for not, if
Well,
the
especially when
homeowners
you're talking, you
decide.
gotta pull them over with a skidder.
Yeah, I just think that we go ahead and do it.
Yep.
Don't worry about putting it out to bid or giving it to somebody else, just go ahead and do it.
Then I think the way to do this is to do a formal motion to waive the purchasing policies.
Okay.
If you could do that for me.
Yep.
For X reasons or whatever.
But are we getting ahead of ourselves if we don't have the property owners?
The three main property owners that come into play are for it. It's the ones that live lower that like the scenic.
People that don't even own property, just,
But I still feel we need to respect
oh,
their
absolutely.
Well, do you want
opinions.
to
It
come
just-
back then with that? Because we've got a month, right? Come back with the,
I would suggest that we do a little better back-of-the-envelope calculation on what the value to the town is and the value of that wood is, and, you know, maybe nothing more than just actually write it on an envelope instead of trying to guess out loud. And
It really depends on, until you get a count of trees.
And involve, you know,
Right.
when we get a count of the trees and find out what we're actually going to do
Right.
there, when we decide to waive, if we decide to waive the procurement policy, we'll know exactly, we'll have a better idea of what we're waiving.
So is it the east side from the?
East and west side.
From, what, Maple Hill down to, how far?
No. When you turn on Holy Smoke Road off East Road,
Oh, East Road.
right, you'll see when you come is about as wide as this table, you're
Yeah.
gonna see
Yeah.
trees to the bottom of the hill.
Okay, that's just on the east side right there?
No, east and west side.
Okay,
But the ditch was gonna go on the east side.
okay. I just wanted to make sure I know I'm looking at the right thing when I take a ride up
And
there.
it doesn't go around the corner.
Oh, yes.
It does go.
It's gotta, you go up there, you'll see what I mean. You can't go through there with a small car now without scratching the sides of the brush.
Somebody already struck a tree and took a great big chunk out of it just the other day.
They must have been, it wasn't rough, they must have been playing with their phone or something.
Any other questions for the road foreman?
Oh, I'm gonna just ask, did you guys pull these tires out?
No, where are they at?
Oh, the Cross Hill, we had a illegal dump. And, oh, I guess you were not here. And we were asked to assist.
Yes.
And I think the guys cleaned it up. So I was gonna tell them, thank you.
Oh, okay. Did we want to discuss the
Oh, the
truck?
truck. Very quickly, the estimate, the financing estimate for a tandem does come in. Certainly the down payment that we have in our budget for fiscal year, the next budget year, gets us into a pretty competitive situation if we decide to go for a tandem versus a single axle. So I think you have room to play, and so therefore, I have specs for both, and we need to advertise pretty soon here, so if the board is inclined to one to the other, it would be helpful to me. Or we could still go out and get bids on both.
As of preliminary numbers for you, just so you know, if I repaint this truck, and I've got it all sanded now with the body and the frame, the preliminary numbers are coming in extremely high for trade-in value, higher than the last one. like
For-
$32,000.
for the single axle.
Yes, but I'm repainting it so it looks like new for him.
Art, you've expressed an opinion on this subject.
Yeah, I make a motion that we just consider the tandem. He was explaining to me that some of the better gravel is in Hoosick, at the Peckham Daily place in Hoosick, and if you're sending a truck to pick it up, one truck has what?
7 yards of the small one.
7 yards as compared to 14, right?
12 to 14,
12 to
yeah.
14. You're paying the same guy the same amount of money, it's the same, diesel fuel is just a whisker.
We have the heavy tandem, so we can load them right up, and we can't be
Sure.
overloaded.
I just think it's foolish not to buy anything but a tandem. And I make a motion to that effect, that we just consider the bid on the tandem.
We have a motion to just consider buying a tandem. Do we have a second?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Was that,
Yeah.
you in on that?
I guess, yeah,
I got 4 yeses. What's your vote?
yeah.
5 yeses. Okay.
Just so you know, Kenny, total was no more than 15,000 more than a single axle, all done with the body and plow and everything. And the 2 dealers I talked to guaranteed us at least $15,000 more than a single axle trade-in value for it. So basically, in the long run, you're not losing anything with the tandem. And for when you get ready to trade it in, you're getting your money back.
Yeah.
They said the tandem sell like that, the single axles, they sit on forever.
You guys don't have to worry about overweight?
No, we don't have to, but we're getting with 46 rears and 20 fronts.
Yeah.
So we're 66,000 pounds anyway.
Yeah, no,
Without
I
the
mean,
plows on it or anything.
Yeah, no, I mean the regulation, because I'm not up on, your,
We should have overweight permits when we travel through other towns, when we are hauling.
because my truck's not even registered to go in New York State, because it's,
Our single axles, we can't put half of them in and we're overweight. The
yeah,
tandems, we can't overload.
yeah,
Plus, the brake capacity is so much bigger that they're legal all the way around.
yeah.
And this truck that we'll be getting now will be going up Buck Hill. He's not supposed to plow Buck Hill, but he can with a plow and a wing. Then he turns on East Road and he go all the way to the Arlington line. With a plow and a wing, we'll do it in one shot. All the way to Arlington line, turn around and come back. That road will be done. We want to go up it twice.
So I'll just go along with the rest of the board.
If there's nothing else,
Okay, well,
go ahead.
I was gonna ask Terry, this email, we got an email from John, from Shaftsbury Hollow and the fabric showing or something. What's that about? I
wasn't even, and I don't think the guys were, even Tim Green wasn't aware there was fabric right in that one section.
So
That's what I made the comment earlier about tar, that if you don't put the ditches in, even fabric's not gonna work. And the banks are about 1.5 feet higher than the road is right there on both sides of the road. It needs to be ditched badly.
But they did find there was fabric.
Okay, so that was
And-
something
and
that we
so
put
they
down,
have
or?
tended to it. They've added more gravel.
They put 6 loads of gravel over it, single loads of gravel over it, just to cover it up because they know that we're short on gravel money.
The question I guess I had is that because you put the fabric down and built up on top instead of digging it down and putting the fabric
No,
down?
not necessarily. Like Kenny said, it'll work anywhere you want to do it. I'm just trying to, since we have a place to dump the fill on the other project we're talking about, I'm trying to be passionate, I guess you'd say, to the landowners so they're not driving down into the
Yeah,
driveways.
I'm
That's all I was trying to do.
We need to find the answer out to your question, but that would have to come from Ron Daniel,
No.
because it wasn't this crew that did
But I
it.
think the reason there is there's nowhere for the water to go.
yeah.
The road, sides of the road are higher than, so if the fabric is holding the water and it can't leach over to the sides to go into a ditch, it's got nowhere to go but up. Fabric will still pass water.
Hydraulic pressure will push it up.
Yeah.
If you don't get rid of the water.
Yep. So I have to go out and talk to the landowner there and make an arrangement with him so I can ditch the sides of the road there.
Okay, I just you get the emails, you gotta ask a question.
Well, yeah, and this will be persistent, so I myself don't remember, and the guys, I think, were talking about it. I don't remember if we dug down there at all,
Because it
and
seems,
raised, or how.
it just seems to me that it would pop up if you didn't dig down, easier than it would if you had dug down even with the hydraulics. I mean, it seems to me if you got a, but.
I would also like to mention, this is listed as item 12, but it relates here, is highway liaison to the select board. Art and I were talking recently, and he was giving me some good insights on his thoughts on Don Green Road, and I was whining about how much time I spend on select board business, and he offered that he could take on highway liaison, which I thought sounded like a good idea. He and Terry, I know, have a good relationship. They already spend times together out on the roads, and so without objection, I was going to let Art take over that job, and one less thing I need to do. That's all, just an announcement. All right, Terry, thank you.
Did you get the message about BF Goodrich tires on the front? I talked to another town that had a truck exactly like yours, and the Goodyear tires that came will not take it. They've gone to Goodrich, and I'll find out the model. He says they're totally different. Chains and everything don't bother it.
Okay,
So I'll find out what it is.
thank you.
But he definitely said the Goodyear tires don't take it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Have a good night.
Good night, Terry. All right, I believe with all the juggling, we are up to number 9, FY14 Budget Year-to-Date Reports Review. I don't believe we have a treasurer with us.
I can just walk you through the basics.
That would be great.
I think we look like we're in a great position to date. I mean, it appears that, let's see, total expenditures budgeted, we're at 83% of our total expenditures. And we have a short distance to go to finish out the fiscal year. And revenues have been coming in pretty much closer. Total revenues, we're at 88%. So actually, as far as budgeting goes, I think that's a pretty good guesstimate, except for the fact that the reason we look okay on the expense side is that we have $90,000 earmarked for the sidewalk project that are not being spent. So we are tighter in the highway budget overall than is reflected here, but I think that we're still in pretty good shape.
So if we took that 90,000 out of there, what would be the percentage we're in that?
Overall, I don't know if I did that for you, but it drops a little bit. If I had a calculator, we could do that. You just pull out the 90 and get the tally up. This is the bad thing, you have to tally up your four categories.
Do we expect to get more revenue, the 12% revenue that we don't have this year yet?
I have to ask Bill, what do you think
I mean,
about that?
I'm just trying to look in here, I mean,
That's
it
great.
doesn't, I mean, we're down on sale of equipment, or I guess, I'm just looking through here quick.
We're down on solid waste, and that's because we're getting less garbage. I don't think it's fewer people using the transfer station. I just think people are recycling more.
We're down on licenses.
For dogs.
Dogs, we're down on fines and forfeits.
Fines for the sheriff, we have the state police fines, we're not seeing anything being booked against that, and I don't quite understand why, so I'll follow up with Bill on that. What's up on the intergovernmental revenue, I think interesting is our state land use payments came in higher than we projected. Our highway aid is coming in over, which is a good thing, though we also budget, I can't remember if we agreed to budget what we expected this year, or if we budgeted 5 or 10% less, to be cautious. We might have been conservative on what we were budgeting.
You got this, state land use, minus 4,000, so that's in,
It's so we've gotten more than we expected.
okay, so we budgeted for 24 and we got 28, so we're actually
So that's a good-
117 of them,
that's a
okay,
good
that's
thing.
good.
Yeah, minuses are good up above. They're a little more
Yeah,
mysterious.
pay as you throw is down 24%, well, still got another month and a half. Hazardous income,
Now, hazardous waste day income, you're gonna see that all will come in at the very end of the fourth quarter. This quarter, because I have to go through the process of closing out that whole project. And then the grant monies will come in and the contributions from the other towns will come in. And we're gonna get our bill, I'm assuming at some point, in the next maybe 2 weeks or so. Let's see.
I believe your level funded is coming here to town highways.
Great, thank you. Sale of equipment, the 21,500, I have to ask Bill. I know we haven't yet sold the sidewalk machine, so that is still to occur. I think we've got that sitting up at Henry Martinkus. Cemetery revenue is in good shape. And again, we're in a good shape because employee health share has been, certainly on the expenditure side, employee health expenses have been lower this year. On the expense side, we are very close on our office equipment budget, but you're gonna see that go over slightly because of the screen and projector expense, and we also need to replace one of our computers that is, Judy has, it's pretty emergent that we need to replace a computer that has XP. It's not supported anymore. So we're trying to figure out the best option for that. You will note that continuing shift away from active listers, it's not that they don't do some work, but most of the work is being done by the professional appraiser, and we're projecting, as Bill has a projection for you, that we are gonna overrun the budget there.
quick question on the sale of that loader that's been going on, is that
We
still
haven't
not sold?
We haven't really taken that forward yet. And that's something to work with Terry on. I'm still not sure the best way to go about doing that.
Did you try to get it approved? Either by an engineer?
By the engineer, that's something that still has to be done, Ken. I think everybody's been so busy.
Are they spending any more money on it?
No, you won't see that change. I have taken a look at the equipment maintenance budgets because we have several budgets that are over, and I know our guys are using our equipment. They seem busier, and we're doing a lot more maintenance, and so I thought it would be interesting for you to see, apart from tonight, how our various highway maintenance budgets stand next to each other over, let's say, a 5-year period, just to see how that trend is playing out over time. On the highway garage side, heating fuel, well, it's for coal hall, the fire department, and for the garage, heating fuel budgets are going to be exceeded very undoubtedly, because the warrants you approved tonight were for at market price deliveries. the price isn't too bad these days, but we're exceeding the volume that we anticipated, the elements that we anticipated buying.
And we agreed we were gonna do our own mowing this year, and we got that, John Deere running again, is that
That's all done.
all set, and that's why we're over
Yes.
budget on that?
Definitely over budget on that.
But
you
it's
gotta
gonna save
pay
money,
off.
yeah,
Yes.
save money on the back
Save
end,
money
okay.
on the other line item. Yeah,
What was the expense on the tandem axle 2013? It's up, it just cost more to run than we thought for the first year? Or just,
probably should have asked Terry that.
yeah, I mean, I didn't see this, I mean, we're up 226%. Probably, I don't know, is that,
We'll make a note to get that to you.
I'm just
Yeah.
Curious. I'm sure it's
No, he's
legitimate,
doing
but
that for Art or-
that's a new machine. I mean, was there
Yeah.
anything that went wrong with it? Was there something that happened to it, that we aren't,
Right.
that I don't know
I have
about?
to go back and look at the details.
Okay,
That should have been covered under warranty.
I would think.
Now, one of the, we had a battery blow in our new grader, so that's a $400 expense that we didn't anticipate.
I don't know why you would only, I mean, two tires is going to be over $1,000, so I don't know why there's just $1,000 on a truck or something like that.
Well, that's what I think, we under budgeted probably.
Well, like you got a one-ton, $2,000, and you got a tandem that's only, so I don't know what goes under equipment maintenance, if it's tires or if it's
Yeah, it's everything.
everything, well,
Yeah.
Well, tires,
that's
yeah,
a
but
2013
tires-
That's a 2013 tandem
No,
axle,
that
that's
is
why,
a- that is
as
a
it gets older, we
discussion that we
increase the
need to
budget a
have.
little bit.
As to exactly what the budget to those line items.
Yeah, but even a new truck that you can blow a tire and run over something.
Yep. I agree.
And then
Happens
Bill
all the time.
had projections for you, and I don't know if you had any questions. We worked on a cash flow estimate. And, you know, being over and under in certain categories, and his,
It's all comes up.
Why'd you do that?
so it, efficiencies and revenues over expenditures before operating transfers in or out. It looks like we are going to be in the good by about $26,000.
Is that in the,
Is that in
Well,
this?
no, that's what we're gonna spend this next, okay, no, we're gonna finish up with, to the good of more like 89,000.
okay, we don't have that listing though, right? We don't have that cash flow analysis in our
Yes,
packet.
we do. He sent it to you. Or I sent it.
Is it in this?
It had, I thought I
listing?
sent you the budget as well as the actual, his cash flow report.
Cash flow, I saw the budgets on the,
Page down through that. Because I think it might have been one scan. I could swear if that's how I got it from him.
Would it be at the end?
yeah, probably, I didn't see it, but I,
Looks like this. It's just the general fund totals.
That's it? Huh.
Okay, no, I don't
Okay.
think we got
Well,
that.
I always send these along too.
Tell us the bottom line then. We're estimating year-to-date,
His estimated cash flow.
Our year end, I'm sorry.
Ending, the cash balance presently is about $494,000. Estimated revenue coming in is going to be about $58,000. Cash available, fund balance is $552,000. If you add our beginning cash balance and what we expect to pull in before the year end, total cash available would be $552,000 thereabouts. Estimated expenditures, we have about $30,000 of accounts payable. We have additional general fund expenditures of about $220,000. So we think we're gonna spend another $250,000 by the year end, but we're gonna be bringing in, we already have available on the asset side, you've got $550,000, so we're gonna be, the estimated cash balance at June 30th, 2014 is gonna be about around 302,000.
302.
Yeah, so we are bringing the fund balance down a little.
And we had budgeted to bring that down more than that, right? So we're essentially under budget.
Yeah, we are depleting that to the tune of, where is that? The fund balance. The report's-
Well, I think a while ago you said we were going to be some number of in the good, and I didn't hear what that number was.
And that expenses doesn't have the 90,000 in there for the sidewalks, right?
I have to bounce back and forth from these reports, I'm sorry. Fund balance at the beginning of the year, 390, and we're down to 335 at the fund balance, projecting at the end of the year.
I thought I just heard 302.
That's estimated cash balance. So that's cash.
So
We have-
390 down to 335.
Yes,
And I believe we were planning to spend something like 120,000 of that.
124.
So looks like we're going to spend 60,000 out of that. So we're $60,000 under budget the way I reckon it. Okay.
That's not how he would explain it, because he's a CPA, his reports are so different.
Okay. Well, thank you for helping us. I think you did a great job. And I do remember the 390 and spending 120,000.
The surplus of just your budget of what you budgeted versus what you plan to expend is no, he doesn't want to use the term surplus or deficit, because we're rolling it into the fund balance and other terminology.
Okay. All right. Howard Park Security, we covered.
We'll be up there, 5:22, 5 PM, special meeting.
Pardon?
We're gonna have a special meeting up there on 5/22. Thursday at 5
Yes,
PM.
yes.
22.
What's
That's where it's at.
5/22? Oh. Oh, the date is 5/22, yes. Thursday.
Yes.
Okay, right. We'll review that in actions at the end. We have a request to cater. Margie, you want to explain that for
Well,
us?
very briefly, Bennington College hosts all sorts of events at the President's House. Instead of having about 25 to 30 different licenses for each event that we had to approve ad nauseum at the board level, we've negotiated with the state that we would do a one-time approval each year to approve the location for their catering events, and that serves as our approval for them to get a caterer's license. So it's the request to cater malt, Venus, and/or spirituous liquors. Bennington College.
Motion to approve the request to cater malt, Venice, and spirituous liquor for Bennington College, Bennington College.
Is that just at the Brick House specific? Okay.
Brick House specifically.
Do you have a second?
170 Madison Avenue.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimous.
And I need town recommendation approved. Town, city clerk signature, so I guess Judy signs this. Okay.
We are near the end. I added select board goals discussion to the schedule again. I wanted to make sure we continue to move toward our goals. The goals that we talked about last time are the ones that were mentioned by more than one select board member. Those were doing something about the garage. Everybody mentioned that in their goals they sent to me. We talked about the improvements to Cole Hall We have money budgeted for that. We have to work with Margie in prioritizing and deciding what to do there. A couple of people mentioned the website, a couple of people mentioned District 1, and then Art urged us to think again about the road. So if we could start out with the garage, my only suggestion there is that we come up with a schedule, or at least a first date for reconvening the garage committee and get that ball rolling. Be honest, I don't have a clear picture in my mind at all how to move forward on the garage. I was in on all the garage committee meetings the last time, and I think it's probably appropriate to maybe spend one meeting reviewing that information for any new people that want to sit on the garage committee. And then I'd somehow like to see us quickly come up with ideas about how we're going to move forward on that. And I'm certainly open to any ideas that anybody has at this point for open discussion.
Pick a date to start the committee, and then from there, move ahead with their schedule that's determined at that meeting. That's my take on it.
We met last time on Wednesdays as a rule. Do we want to pick next week, Wednesday?
I think you need to give a little more notice than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right.
You have to notify, you have to notify the garage committee?
It would just be
Form.
an email distribution list.
You
so-
have one? Yeah.
Or it depends on what the board wants. If you want to get people that have been uninvolved to date become involved, then you should have an invitation in the paper.
Yep.
Come join us, or whatever. On the website.
The more we get on the committee, the
Wanna do it that way?
better the
Yeah.
chances we have.
And it also depends, I mean, how quickly you have to meet depends on your ultimate objective. Are you trying to do something for November? Are you trying to do something for March? If not, then maybe we could convene, let people have notice of the meeting for, let's say, the middle of June? Or what do you think, Tim?
I would put that to the board. Does anybody want to push for, does anybody think something will be that we would be able to do something by November?
It'd be nice, but I don't see it.
Looks like the consensus seems to be probably March on next action on the garage. Okay. And I recall, Margie, that there were at least, was it like 45 days back from the election you had a to-do list, or was it longer than that? I just want to keep that general time frame in mind. It's like
Oh, easily.
2 months, let's say 2 months. Once we've decided everything we want to do, you had a
Yeah.
whole series of warnings and announcements and ballot
The whole
printing.
time.
We get busy in January for March.
Yeah,
Notifications and-
specifically about the garage, I'm trying to remember.
Well,
I guess it's,
I could have probably.
I mean, we've got to determine whether we're gonna go private funding or go through the bond bank again, and I don't know if we'd have to wait to March to do that, right? Don't we have to wait a year after
That's right. You can only have.
because we had 2 votes in 1 year, and then we have to wait a year before we can even approach them again, so that's a March thing anyways.
so what you just said, that we start worrying about getting ready for a March election in January, kind of tells me when we need to have decided what we're going to do in March, is before the holidays.
Before
We need to
Thanksgiving.
have our plan and be prepared to advertise it and organize it and all of that
If,
in the new year.
if you want my gut reaction, I don't think the voters, well, I don't think they're ready to see this coming March. But I might be I tend to be more pessimistic than optimistic sometimes. So,
Got to start.
you gotta start. That's
Yeah,
right.
well, let's, If it's okay with everybody else, I'll look at the calendar when my computer boots up again and could think about a Wednesday when we want to start the garage committee up and then try to get the word out. I guess the question before the board would be, do we have inclinations at this point as to how we want to constitute the garage committee? Do we want to do it as we did before, which was pretty much open to anyone who wants to come, or do we want to do something different?
I think it should be open to anyone who wants to put in their 2 cents. You know, they want to come in and talk about it. And
I think once you get a direction, then I think maybe you can ask certain people that are specialists in something to come on the board and help us, but until we have a direction.
Is there a possibility to vote on this without having the funding in place and have that work on the funding afterward, after the town passes it, and so we don't waste a lot of time going through all the bonds and all the, you know, getting all the financial?
I don't believe you'll ever get it passed that way.
I mean, we'll have a figure.
How you gonna say, well, I don't have the money, or maybe I got the money, or I think that's what beat it before.
Yeah, it was the money.
You don't know what the interest rate is.
Yeah, I mean, that's why you put it off next year. They're gonna tick
I
up a
think you
little bit.
could word the question that, to get just the approval, the green light on the garage, you could probably word a question
Up to X amount of
that
dollars.
either have a cap and to be funded by a mix of whatever sources you want.
Yeah, we'll have.
But if you're gonna bond for any amount over whatever it is, I think it's 500 or maybe even less. But if you're gonna go for bonded indebtedness, you're still gonna have that bond vote, whether it be for a portion of the expense or not. So yeah, maybe we could be putting a concept plan before the voters again in March.
Just
Yeah,
something to,
yeah,
food for thought.
yeah.
You're gonna pull a date?
I'll pull a date, try to coordinate that through email.
Okay.
I'm meeting out most of the time, so I might come to some, but I will definitely not be at every meeting.
Understood. Any other ideas about the garage? Coal Hall, I was not thrown out of the room last night when the last time when I said that we might want to think about looking at perhaps the Daily Building as a home for town offices before we bite off the big chunk of doing what it takes to fix up Coal Hall. And I mean, we're going to have to spend some money on Coal Hall this year anyway. We've budgeted, it has to happen. But I think at least the board seemed to entertain the idea that, and agree with me, that Coal Hall does not suit our needs well, and we might want to look at other places. Along that lines, I thought one thing that always comes up is the Daily Building on 7A. Would the board be agreeable to getting together and having a look at that and seeing if it's even worth considering?
Do we know what the offer is or the rent?
We don't
is?
know anything. It's just that every time we talk about town offices and Coal Hall not serving our needs, somebody says, what about the Daily Building? And so I've never been in the Daily Building, so I don't know if it would help or not.
Well, that's a two-story, the cellar's finished off, so there's offices top and bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And Daley still owns it, right?
But the question still begs, what do we do with
I
this?
think so.
building?
Beckham. Oh, Beckham owns it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what, I mean, the question still begs, what does this building become?
Mm-hmm. It's a big
I mean,
question.
I don't, you know, it's, I don't know, I think, I mean, we're gonna lose, the listers are going away, basically, because we're gonna be having a professional lister. It's been going that way for 5 years. So that corner might open up. Obviously, you can't have a private conversation in there, but, I don't know. I just was curious as to what we could do with this. It's like a white elephant, what do you,
It's worse if you move out.
pardon?
It's worse if you move out.
Deteriorate.
I think that at some point, it would be really great if the board would take a look at the administrative needs. Again, because after a couple of budget cycles with some additional staffing thrown in, I can see how I'd like to tweak things, or that any administrator might want to. So we then do get a better sense of what the body count might be. One of the dynamics that's changed already is that we have the water garage is in use, but we have no facilities there. And we have no facility at the transfer station. So with Joe primarily operates out of his house, but now that we have a superintendent to be who does not have that situation, he depends on facilities here. He needs to there's no phone out there, he needs to use the restrooms here, he needs a desk here, makes phone calls from here. The shop is still important. So that's a body that floats around. And there may be some reconfiguration in the bookkeeping and treasurer / and the town clerk. So I don't see us growing by leaps and bounds by any means, but two bodies, even a third. And if the town really decides to take a different track with property valuation, that might further reduce the amount of people.
I didn't follow that. Property valuations for,
Well, there is language that just came through the legislature which enables the towns like us to continue using a professionally trained assessor. I forget the actual phrase in the statute, but it's to give us some latitude to avoid having to go through the lengthy process of having a charter introduced and approved by the voters that would then kind of memorialize the fact that we are no longer electing having elected officials perform
sunset the listers.
Yes, the assessment tasks that we have moved to a professional model, totally different model. So there are many more towns that are looking at that. But that would, as I understand it, from legal, from our town attorney and our former board chair, who is also an attorney, that would probably lead to a charter. Whether or not you can have a charter just specifically to address that aspect of governance, or whether we would then open ourselves up to needing to address a lot of other governance issues, like how many board members do we want? It goes,
Well, if you want the professional appraisers though, then they have their own office, right?
They tend to come here, work. You have to work from here, because you've got all your records here, and they have to be available for inspections.
Well, they have our records here now, but eventually they'll be online here in the next 6 months, right? Or
Yeah, but you're still not you have to have your
meetings.
availability to the public, you still have to do it, and you still have to have, by law, your inspections, you have to be on hand.
So are you saying, Margie, that this facility could meet your needs in the future?
It might, but it's the sound. It truly is up here, you just cannot.
So we're looking for meeting space more than
We're looking
anything?
for, and confidential meeting space.
Right.
And private office space. I mean,
Yeah.
the
So,
treasurer and the town administrator practically sit in each other's
Well, I
lap,
was
and
gonna
it's-
say,
one
yeah.
is talking on the
Right.
phone, the other
Right.
one is listening.
I know. So would it behoove us just to go over to take a look at it?
Oh, definitely, I'd love to see what's.
Yeah, let's go and take a look at it and look at what the figures are and,
Yeah.
and then,
Yeah.
and see whether it's be too big or too little, or even if we sublet.
Yeah.
It may be easy. We may get over there and find that
was way
doesn't
too-
suit our needs and is too
Right.
expensive, and we can lay to rest the question of why don't we
Right.
go to look at the Daily
Exactly.
Building? That's really my thought is,
Yeah. Sure.
it keeps getting asked, so let's answer
Let's
the
go look at
question
it.
one way or the other, and
Sounds good.
if it looks like it's perfect and it's cheap, we still, have problems, because we gotta figure out what to do with this
With Cole.
building, but let's,
And that would be the Historical Society's
There you
problem.
go.
let's look at
We'll take it on.
I think this would be a great venue.
it. All right, without objection, I'll make some contacts there and see about, arranging a visit to the Daily Building
Yep.
for the select board.
Yep.
We can start with Brian Lynn,
I have an email into him.
or just to, yeah. Get to the name.
The website, a couple of us mentioned the website. At a minimum, I think information could be rearranged on the website in a more intuitive manner, and I am willing to get with the town clerk and the town administrator and start doing that, and would welcome anybody else that wants to have input on it.
No,
Okay.
websites.
All right. Without objection, we'll move forward. District 1 came up. It was unclear what, if anything, we wanted to do about District 1, and I'll open that up to discussion.
Well, if you're liaison with the school board, they're the ones who are in the driver's seat with this.
Right.
So as long as you report to us, there's not much else we can do.
Not really.
Yeah,
We could either give it our blessing, whatever
Yeah.
they come up with, or not.
yeah.
And,
Yes.
I'd be hesitant, good neighbors, and all that stuff.
It's
Touchy.
very controversial, so taking a stand on it could certainly divide the board, if not the community, and certainly has the potential to divide us from North Bennington, so. I will continue to report on progress in that manner as I learn it from the school board, and I will report that at the last school board meeting, we did not get any new information about that. Was there something about roads that you wanted us to delve further into? You mentioned when we were talking about goals last time that you thought roads should be on there.
My comment was that I think it would be nice to start developing a policy whereby, for instance, Terry meets with us at least once a month, and I would prefer twice a month if possible. Make that a policy, so that it isn't just, and then you've got, it's always a controversy over the guy operating the grader. At least if we can make Terry aware that there's classes for it, and he takes a lot of people to classes, but why don't we strive for a person that's running the grader has had instructions, at least on a state level, and so on and so forth, and just kind of go from there. Just have little
Best
policies
practices.
best practices that
Yeah.
it isn't just left up to Terry, that he gets some guidance from us.
Mm-hmm.
That was my point.
Okay. I think just by deciding, we can ask that the road foreman meet with us each time we meet, as he did tonight. And informally, I had indicated to Margie, I think that's entirely appropriate, so I think that's a done.
Yep.
I mean, there will be meetings he will not be able to attend, but
Sure.
as a general rule.
Sure.
we can-
Sure. As far as the greater school and instruction, I'm not sure how you want to frame that.
Margie, one meeting I can remember, you said that somebody received a certificate, and maybe we should make it and that was because there are different levels, or different, all that sort of stuff.
Yes.
And should we make it a policy that they all at least have a certain level, or?
Have a well, for grader operator, I don't know, if the goal would be to have everybody cross-trained on the grader.
I don't know. Let me talk to Terry about that and just find out what.
Because I've been meeting with him about that sort of thing.
Okay.
But it makes sense to have at least 3, because if one's on vacation,
Sure.
one can sit in.
Got 2 graders.
And we've talked about the foreman's knowledge or experience in grading, and the actual, when Terry started, he was told not to count on being on the grader because it made him too inaccessible for administrative tasks, and he needed to be able to be freer to move around and oversee. So they shouldn't be sitting in a grader 8 hours a day. But it doesn't mean that he doesn't have it. But best practice would be that he should be as well trained as, don't you think, as anything else? But
Probably just one other thing on the roads, maybe I'm jumping the gun, but the business of the emerald leaf or emerald ash borer that is killing the ash trees, Jim Hoyt, the forester, says the town is in, for the next 5 to 6 years, is in for a lot of money being spent taking down trees so they don't come down on public right-of-ways, taking down power lines and all that sort of stuff. So we want at least to make sure that everybody is certified in chainsaw operation and
Yeah,
that sort of
yeah.
stuff.
Well, they haven't found the emerald ash borer in Vermont yet,
No, but
but
We're
it's
getting ready
coming,
for
it's,
the
it's
flag
it's
to
all, it's
yeah.
all around us.
It's coming.
because they're gonna be very specific tree removal techniques that people are gonna have to use, and we're gonna have to start budgeting a lot more.
so,
Would the state allocate funds if we were to be infested with emerald ash borer and we had to clear a bunch of ash out of a certain area that's been infected? Would the state kick in money for that from the Department of Environmental Conservation?
I sure can look into that.
I would think they
We
would.
might also want to look into some money for historical buildings for repairs. I know we got a chunk. of
We have
money for
another
that.
grant cycle coming up, Alice, for this fall.
I'm sorry.
There's another grant cycle available for the fall.
I would look into that. And there's going to be money for solar things as well. Just talk to me about that and
Okay.
I'll get us some information.
Anything else? Item 14, Town Administrator's Report.
Okay, the first thing I have, that's other business. I just wanted to run off my litany of what's going on. I'll be doing a significant amount of advertising, because that all has to do with the normal bidding that goes on at this time of year, for fuels, as I said, for the truck, replacement, paving, any grants that we have for construction, I have to do now. And we have, Joe mentioned that we received the Homeland Security grant for the dispatch replacement base radio for the state police. I have yet to see the grant, so I'm following up with that. I'm trying to get clarification about whether we got the FEMA grant or not for the generator. I just have not heard back from anybody. We're in good shape at the
That application just went in a few weeks ago, right?
But I had a person call me and ask for more information.
Okay, so we're,
They could do the cost benefit analysis for us. They're working hand in hand. And that's the person that's been very hard to reach again to ask about the progress. Sunderland's already found out that they are not getting funded, and it was a very modest request. And so I don't understand this process. It may warrant a letter to the governor at the end here, but we have uncovered a couple of items on the financial side that we're dealing with. One was that our fire department was actually, we had sold an engine to the White Creek Fire Department, and we were going through, Bill was going through some of our debt service figures, and we're trying to make sure the files are all cleaned up, and that we have agreements or loan agreements to back up all of our debt service payments that are being owed. And the White Creek Fire Department's agreement clearly stated that they're owed the town interest. So we're working with them on reminding them that they need to do that. They owe the town another $1,500 to $1,600. It's not a huge amount of money, but it's just these, in transitions from certain staff to others, you just find that details can get overlooked very easily. So we're really trying to clean house no way to speak, so to speak. We've uncovered, I actually was confused, we've now realized that way back, we have, there was a decision of the board to authorize a health reimbursement arrangement through Aflac. So that though the town doesn't supplement that coverage, that any employee has the ability to choose between a number of Aflac plans, and if we can afford it, we pay for that, and it's done through payroll as a deduction. So it's taken a while to really figure out what that was all about. I've had to beg the salesperson that was here to explain the fact that when she was talking to the road crew, she was saying this is all going to be pre-tax withholdings, so that your payroll deduction, let's say $5 a week or whatever it is towards your coverage, was pre-tax, and it was going to save on Social Security from the town side. Well, lo and behold, that's what it is. There is an HRA document out there, and it's something that we need to figure out how to rope in as under the scheme of benefits. It may be pretty simplistic. Ultimately, I just didn't realize that that was there. But the Aflac, whenever you're dealing with Aflac, that apparently is the convention that is used, that you agree to have put in place an HRA.
So are you saying that if we went with Aflac, a supplemental insurance, we could lower our deductible expense for our employees because Aflac would pick up the difference between their...
No.
No, this is just that contributions are pre-tax, so you're lowering your taxable wage.
Well, yeah, I understand that part, but what I'm asking is, I mean, all I've known is Aflac to be a supplemental insurance.
That's all it is.
That's right.
So what are we paying them for? You said something about deductibles. And the deductible is, we're paying the deductible now.
No deductible. It's a payroll deduction for the premium expense, that's all.
Somebody signs up for Aflac, and you take $5 a week out of their check and send it to Aflac, okay? What they're saying is that $5 is pre-tax, which means that now the town doesn't owe that much in FICA and other things because it paid them less.
Yeah, okay, so that's one benefit for us.
That's right.
What's the downside of it?
Just paperwork. There's no downside as far, other than paperwork.
I don't think there's any downside.
No.
It's just that this was totally below the radar, that we have this mechanism in place. And I'm looking to make sure, I want to make sure that the language is appropriate in this agreement. It goes back to the 1990s.
Wow.
So that's all.
We offer Aflac to our employees, it's just a paper.
Oh, I
It's
think
just supplemental insurance that doesn't cover their out-of-pocket, it covers their out-of-pocket
dental or
expenses.
Well, yeah, it's dental, eyeglasses, life insurance, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
3 times the salary, 4 times the salary, whatever.
Accident insurance, in other words, everybody's covered in workman's comp, but if they hurt themselves at home, something totally different.
Supplemental, okay.
Yeah.
Alice?
Did you say that you have it, Arthur?
Yes.
Coincidence has it that the district manager lives in Shaftsbury for Aflac. I know him very well. Would you like me to have him come and talk to you?
Yeah, I would love it.
I'll see that happens.
Yeah.
He's a wonderful young man.
Floyd?
And,
Floyd?
no, his name is Joseph Foxley.
Oh, I think I Floyd.
And Joseph Foxley. And he'll come and
Oftentimes,
explain,
the
he'll explain
salespeople
everything
can't help.
to your employees, whatever you need. Do you know him, Martha? Has he been through? He may have a staff member who's assigned to us, but I'll see if I can get him to come and talk to you.
Thanks, Alice. Been chipping away at the coal hall maintenance bucket list. First of all, we've had some lighting issues, so we've had Carpenter Electric has been in with some suggestions about what we might do, and thought about trying to get more lighting into this room. has raised the question as to whether or not LEDs might work here and brighten up the space. I contacted folks to take a look at the bathroom. We're considering a tile floor in there. And so we're just getting the sheetrock has to be dealt with and then get the trim replaced. But the whole sink and the toilet's gonna have to come out, so that puts us down for a day or two.
One suggestion there, LEDs, I believe, are really long life bulbs, like 20-year bulbs. Before you spend a lot of time investigating, you might want to make sure that we've settled our daily building question.
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. I don't even have a budget for that yet. I'm thinking that it's out of the range for this, between now and June 30th, so.
Never know, it's been sitting there for a long time. Maybe they want to get it moving.
And I did have a visit with a Vermont, a VLCT passive member last week, and I did inform him that we are gonna want formal bids from passive. And we'll give anybody else a chance to bid as well on our insurances. So I'll pass around the information that I got. It's pretty in-depth about all the employee assistance programs and all the other services, including these safety inspections, which are actually done pretty routinely for towns at our request, but in more detail than my experience with Trident Insurance. And that goes directly to our concern about the playgrounds.
We may want to consider perhaps having VLCT talk to the board. Do you think about all the options that we might want to consider availing ourselves to?
Oh, yeah, and it has to be, the renewal is July 1, so it's gonna be no later than your second meeting in June. They'd have to be here presenting. Our constables wanted to attend the dog control workshop on May 29, if Paul is still here. And they're all set there. We've had a slew of complaints about roadside dumping and illegal burning and dogs. It's been a week where we have been really responding to an awful lot of public input. Animals at large, and I think we need to take another look at how we're handling animal control.
The vicious dog emails that went around and stuff forth, did we get notified from the vet or something on that?
I did.
Because of because it was
very
quarantine?
basic.
Okay, that's a
That is something
standard.
the animal control officer does right out of the bat. It's by statute, it's by our ordinance. You quarantine an animal and you wait for the clearance for rabies.
Okay.
And that came through. But the dog has left the state and its owner. And so I've been informed by the animal control officer that there's no need for a vicious dog hearing. At this point, the matter is closed. That's it for me.
All right, thank you, Margie.
Margie, what about the toxic waste day? How'd you do?
Well,
Obviously. I felt badly about leaving you in that oil depot there. Did you get anything done, or did you get?
yes.
You did it on your own?
Well, I had a few people help. No, we were able to clean out a lot of, by our oil tank, in order to pump the PCB oil out, we have to clear out a whole bunch of old filters and
Yeah.
whatnot. And so our contractor took a lot of that.
Oh, good.
And the filters are all contained, and so we'll get that in place.
Good. Thank you for doing that.
Other business, we have a request from T&M, a business here in Shaftsbury on Church Street. They want to put solar panels on their roof and have asked the town to view that as a good thing and to waive the 45-day pre-filing period that is, we have the right to ask them to hold to. Do I have a motion to waive the 45-day pre-filing notice for the solar installation on T&M?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion?
Are we overstepping our bounds? Isn't that a zoning?
I think
We're being invited to do this by the attorneys representing T&M.
that's the Public Service Board, right?
That's right.
They take their.
Okay, I just didn't know if it was,
It's not a zoning.
Yeah,
Good question.
My understanding is it's not something that we have control over like the zoning board, but it's something that they're, I guess, almost, you could say, out of a courtesy or like an abutting landowner, they're asking our opinion about, and they would like us to say we're fine with it so they can move along faster on it.
So there's usually a 45-day waiting period, and that's all, we're just waiving that period. We aren't approving the solars, okay?
No, we don't.
That's the board.
This is very complicated.
Public Service Board will be doing the approval.
Okay, I didn't want to get complicated, I just
No,
wanted
I
to
don't
understand.
either. It's, if we see something really wrong aesthetically, they talk about aesthetics, I don't know.
It sounds like you won't be able to
Can't
see it
even see
except
them.
from a helicopter.
Right.
Okay, I just wondered what we're voting on, that's all.
Yeah, I asked the same question, and it sounds like, no, we don't have the ability to stop the project. They're asking us to approve it quickly so they can move
Yep.
along and not go through this 45-day pre-filing
Okay,
period.
that's fine. Is there a motion?
We have a motion, a second. We have discussion. Do we have any more discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous.
Mitch, you were the motion?
Yes, yeah. Tony, I seconded it.
Oh, okay. All right, thank you.
I have something.
And I'm gonna need Tim's signature on this.
Okay.
Front name, title, address, thank you.
I had a question on this water board tour. I don't want to have a warned meeting, and I want to know who's going when so I can book a different time.
Oh, no, it's easy to warn it, and it's gonna be Wednesday.
It's Wednesday or Thursday, it says.
Going to.
Oh, it is,
says
you've got it all set up?
Wednesday.
Wednesday at 9 o'clock?
Yes,
9 AM? Okay.
At the treatment plant, right?
at the treatment plant.
Up Buck Hill? Where's that?
What's
That
the name?
way.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going this way. I'm going over there. I know.
9 AM?
Just follow me home.
Please.
Or you could,
I have no, I totally,
or you could just meet here.
Maybe that's on me here.
Follow Joe.
He'll be here at
It's the
9.
driveway is right at the
Yep.
opposite,
Oh, I'm on
That's
it.
next Wednesday.
behind the school.
don't follow me anywhere.
Okay.
That's next Wednesday, Mitch.
This Wednesday.
This
So
one.
how many people think they're gonna be able to go to that? We have one,
I'm
two,
planning.
I'm planning on going.
3. Okay, I'll warn
Okay.
just a tour, just a site visit.
All right, review of action items.
Oh, wait a minute, I got another
Oh,
thing.
okay.
There was something, we did get an email from for the constable's stuff too. And I wanted to find out what the discussion's about and I'll have it here and openly. There's a request for we have the constables coming to all our board meetings, not just our board, planning commission, DRB, every board for the foreseeable future. And I think he's asking for a uniform. And I think it all comes up to less than $3,000. I'm tending to say, yeah, I mean, we're actually making them do work for the town where they should be identifiable. And it should be, I think it's something that we should have.
I think it's, should be put on the agenda for discussion at our next meeting. I did ask if in email, if anyone wanted to put it on this agenda to bring that up, and that did not happen, so it's not on this agenda. I see it as more of a discussion than we want to have at 3 minutes till 9 o'clock. So
Okay.
without objection,
Definitely put it on for the next meeting.
put that on the next agenda.
Okay.
I must have missed.
Marie.
Any other business?
I'm a little bit concerned about the town plan. I'd like to know what it would take to reinstate the existing town plan, to adopt it, so that because if we send it back to the planning commission, planning board, how long before they get back to us? I can see several months without a town plan, and I think we ought to at least find out what it takes to reinstate the one that we were on.
But I thought, Margie, didn't you have a discussion with the VLCT that it wouldn't negatively impact us if we're going forward, if we're in the process of,
Well, the discussion was more or less that lapses in town plans happen all the time, but it's up to you to figure out whether or not it's important to get that plan in place as soon as possible. If you feel like you're gonna be exposed without a town plan for a significant amount of time.
but then what is our exposure?
Exposure, well, for instance, would be basically any of your proceedings for these telecommunications, not telecommunications, but yes, actually, the tower on Buck Hill, or any proceedings with the solar installations, basically need to conform to your town plan.
Grants.
So that's one. It would be any Act 250 related hearings, but which probably doesn't concern us. But it prevents, I don't know how you could do any bylaw amendments without the town plan being in place. Because so much time and energy was being spent on this newly revised plan, I think both BCRC and the league said, focus on that, because you seem so close. But
My take, I mean, we're taking public comment now.
that was before some of the issues have been raised in public hearings that have been raised. So,
I only see a handful of issues that was raised last time. I mean, and that, I think we can work through those.
maybe curable with just some
I don't see anything
subtraction of language, or-
substantial, any substantial issues that have been brought up, a couple lines here and there.
I disagree.
Rewording.
I disagree.
I believe the answer to your question, Art, is the same process we're going through with the
Yes.
proposed new town plan. We could abbreviate it, and I think this came up at our VLCT training, is that the fastest you could do is warn a 15-day meeting. You have to warn two meetings. They don't have to be 15 days apart, but they both have to be warned for 15 days. So if we were so inclined, we could warn two
back-to-back.
hearings back-to-back, or almost back-to-back, on a new town, readopting the old town plan, and rush that through. So I guess the minimum we could do anything would be 16 days, perhaps.
The planning commission has to have its hearings first. On the existing plan. I mean, the plan. If you're putting it, if you have
A
to,
lot of those things that were.
If it's not their plan, we have to go back to the planning commission, so, okay, I left out that part.
The things that you were taught, that were brought to our attention in the meeting, are in the old plan, so I don't know why not moving forward and tweaking it as we see fit is any better than readopting the old plan with all the, you know.
Because we're without a plan. We do not have a town plan.
Mhm.
Because the old one has lapsed, and until we adapt a new one. And I've been told we can't get grants. There's a lot of things that you can't do if you don't have a town plan.
Well, I thought we talked about that before, when we were getting close to the end and there was no downside.
we can get
Okay,
grants, but we
then-
cannot get planning grants. But most of the grants that we are operating on and depending on, including the playground grant, the historic preservation grant, if we wanted one, highway grants, are surprisingly unrelated to having to have a
Okay.
town plan. But a planning grant that we might want to do to help with whatever, we would have to wait. I also think it's good practice to have a plan in place. BCRC was just saying, that just,
Well, that's
at
what
least we're
I-
concerned about it, because a lot of towns don't even get concerned about lapse of a town meeting.
I mean, that's what I was kind of concerned not having a plan, and I'd suggest maybe we just push forward and readopt it while we're working on this one, but then when you came back and said you'd done your research, and there really is no, except for the planning grants and a couple.
I think the new information is that, given the testimony in the last hearing, that there are some concerns that may be more than just a tweak of a sentence here and there. But maybe not.
Remove 5 from the town highway thing, and remove a couple lines of code for bylaws, and the federal historical reference. I mean, other than that, just a couple tweaks. Other than that, those are
Well, the
the,
focus of economic development language.
take small out of there. That's not substantive.
I think it is.
Well,
Okay.
Oh, you
let's-
mean changing that language would warrant having to send it back to the planning
you
commission?
think small,
Well, let's, we got one more meeting, let's not get into that now.
okay.
But if you don't, if everybody doesn't think it's a big problem going without a plan, without
Well,
a town
that's why,
plan.
I mean, I relied on Margie's research for that, and then
Okay.
she did say that there was not a big downside to it.
Okay,
But if it turns out there is, we're gonna have to.
No. The issue is the length of time. We had figured initially that we were going to be without a plan for maybe maximum 30 days. That's all.
Months.
No,
It's
3
not,
months.
yeah. I do want to confirm, you would think that readopting could be done without the planning commission hearing, but I'm pretty sure you have to have it.
It said you had to do the whole, it's like you're
But,
presenting
so
the new
you
town
just need to
plan.
notify for 15 days at the planning commission level, and their hearing could be the night before ours. And then we could have another one. So, you still may be right, it still could be possible for to do it in less than 30 days.
I guess that's worth finding out, if we could get the old plan adopted in 16 days, we might want to consider doing that. Right now, we're looking at, our next hearing is, as we said, June 10th. We don't seem to have consensus on the board about what the new plan will be, so there's probably, there's a fair chance that there will be rewriting, and then there's a fair chance that that will be considered substantial, which will send it back to the planning commission. And then they have to have a hearing, and then we have to have a hearing. We could be looking, sounds like almost best case is on the order of 2 to 3 months.
So we're looking at readopting the old plan as is.
Mm-hmm. And have it in place.
I'll just double check with BCRC on that, Jim Sullivan on the queue.
Does it restrict BCRC in any manner by a town that
Because they're-
represented in Bennington County? But by not having a town plan, does it take away from their ability to function as a Bennington County Regional Commission? Shaftsbury's not part of us anymore. We don't have a town plan yet. I don't
Well,
know.
we're still
I
part
guess
of
you'd
that.
ask him.
I can ask if it
Good
has
point.
any bearing on their grants or their
exactly.
whatever, if you don't have 100%. But I know that there aren't town plans in effect 100% at that rate. That's a good question.
I think my opinion is the best thing would be that we come to a level of comfort that we're okay without a town plan, because any action we take to readopt the old town plan is going to delay adopting the new town plan, because it's just more meetings we've got to pack in, so.
okay. Okay.
Okay,
And one other,
yes.
is it up to this board to start advertising for a new person for the planning board? Because they lost,
That's right.
Yeah. That's something Margie does
That you
for
do?
us, yes.
Okay,
I will be doing that,
very good.
and I'm gonna be advertising also for the health officer. I'm trying to confirm how many members we have of the planning commission
Okay.
right now, because the dog incident deflated our planning commissioner, when there was a big impact.
Okay. Abigail.
So,
Are there other business? All right, review of action items. What I caught, Margie was going to ask VLCT about process for readopting the Old Town Plan, whether or not we need to involve the Planning Commission. We're going to place the constable's request for uniforms on the next agenda. We have a meeting on Thursday, 5 p.m. at Howard Park of the Recreation Committee and the board to look at the situation out there in terms of safety and maintenance. We have to write up our decision about Don Green Road. Margie, is that something you want me to do?
you're welcome to take a stab at it.
Let me try to take a stab at
It can be very
it.
concise. It just has to summarize that the description of the road takes our legal warning, the facts that we gathered from the hearing, and then the board's a description of the decision. And the
Okay.
date, and then with spaces to sign.
All right. Terry is going to organize a meeting for landowners and a couple of board members on
Just
Holy
two.
Smoke.
You and me doing it.
That's
Yeah.
Terry's. We need a date for the garage committee, and I'm going to take that one.
You got my cell phone number?
I'm going to arrange for a select board tour of the Daily Building.
366 0015.
Uh,
0015.
Okay, that one we took care of. Art, you want to look into the establishing a policy about grader and education and
Yeah,
that sort of thing?
let me kind of work with Terry, find
Okay.
out what he's comfortable with the
Okay.
guys.
Also related to the, on highways was the Emerald Ash Borer, and I wrote policy on trees, and I forgot what we said we were gonna do about that.
Make sure that all of our town workers are certified with a chainsaw, because there could be a lot of
Okay.
work.
And if they got the right protective equipment.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, they can't move that, they've got to just chip it and incinerate it pretty close to site, don't they? I mean, that's,
Well,
that,
that's really an action item for Terry, that sounds like, to make sure that we're certified on chainsaws to be able to handle the
Yeah, again, that
upcoming
would be just something that the board would say, that's kind of our policy. If you're going to use a chainsaw,
All right,
and so we say to Terry, make sure all the guys are certified and that type of thing.
all right, so you want to come up with a policy for us to vote on about that?
I will be working with Art around any kind of policies.
Okay.
Please.
All right, I caught an action item for Alice to look into whether or not state funds are available for dealing with the Emerald Ash Borer.
And Cole Hall.
And we want to set up a meeting with VLCT and the select board to talk about our options relative to the passive insurance and all the things that they have available to us. So
That's gonna be your second meeting in June.
Margie and I can set that up.
should we invite our current
Yes, yes.
insurance person to that meeting too?
Yeah, and I have to make sure that they both provide that I have the information from wills. As soon as I ask Dave for lost histories, et cetera, he'll get a sense that we're rebidding. And so I'll tell him about that second meeting in June as well.
Okay.
Well, Margie, I mean, if Art's taking a policy on in the highway, I mean, if you're busy with other things, I think.
Oh, I am, no, I
You should let
I
him
am.
take, run with it.
No,
and
the
then we-
only thing that I want to make sure that's really clear is that a liaison cannot act independently of the board.
Correct.
And that concerning the highway foreman, the board is trying to make it pretty clear that the administrator is the supervisor. And so I was always involved in the meetings with the foreman, but that, they were usually work sessions, that, and it was not running out and inspecting, tires or whatever. You get the gist. Art understands. So,
I understand.
the policies, yeah, I mean, if anybody running, I mean, Art obviously would run with something, it just means if we're having policies, I need them, so that
Well, we would all need to see him and
you
vote
would
on it.
need to see them, and then we add it to our policies and procedures, yeah. Thank you for clarifying, Mitch.
Anything else? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.